You entered a plea of no contest to count one and count two. The court found that there was evidence to find you guilty of count one and count two. The court found you guilty of count one and count two. According to your plea bargain agreement, counts one and counts two will run concurrently, and you will be sentenced to 20 years in the prison. Give you credit for any time served. This is the run concurrent with 2024 CR 5218. Take in consideration 2025 CC 005805. Is there anything else with regards to sentencing and that cause number?
Sentencing of law.
Okay. And just one moment. Also, there is to be no contact with the following persons: Sarah, SaarahAmin is the last name. Tariq, Tarek, last name Ramadan. All right, and that cause number, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification? I'm sorry, one other thing. With regards to sentencing, there's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon in count one and an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon in count two. In that cause number, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? Do you have any?
Pause here. This is a critical legal moment. A no contest plea means the defendant isn't admitting guilt, but legally the court treats it the same as a guilty plea for sentencing. And notice this, the judge says the sentences are run concurrently, not consecutively. That means multiple convictions, but served at the same time, not stacked. Still, 20 years is 20 years. Do you think plea bargains like this strike the right balance between efficiency and justice, or do they sometimes leave too much unanswered?
Type of drug issues? Okay. And then in cause number 2024 CR 5218, you entered a plea of no contest to count one, murder. The court found that there was sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court found you guilty. The court will sentence you to 20 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. This is run concurrent with 2024 CR 5219, and taking consideration 2025 CC 005805. And there's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon. All right, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it? You need to speak up. All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. How old are you? All right, you're 18. Any time that somebody serves is a lot of time. Many things can happen at the prison. Do not become institutionalized at the prison. You need to realize that you're where you are now because of your actions. I understand with the murder case, the way it's charged, which is legally a way it can be charged, because you were evading, you actually didn't hit the person in the crosswalk. The police actually hit that person chasing you, right? And so when you're sitting at the prison, you're probably going to start thinking, I shouldn't be here. Other people are going to start talking to you saying, you should have done this and that. But what I can tell you, that's the law, right? So at the prison, you can still get your education. At the prison, you can get some kind of trade so that when you're released from prison, you have some ability to get work. And it's going to be hard for you to find employment.
This is where the door quietly closes. Because this is a plea bargain with a waived right to appeal, the defendant has almost no legal path to challenge this conviction later. Add in the affirmative finding of a deadly weapon, and the long-term consequences multiply. Prison classification, parole eligibility, even life after release. At just 18 years old, this isn't just a sentence, it's a permanent legal identity. Should courts treat young defendants differently when the consequences are this irreversible?
Because you've been to prison. That's why you need to learn a trade at the prison. I don't know if they still do welding at the prison or not. I had one client who went to prison. He ended up becoming a welder. And there was such a high demand for welders, even though he had been to prison. When he was released, he ended up making more money than I made as an attorney. All right. So there's something you can do with your life, but you need to start thinking about the people you hang around with and how you find yourself to be in the situation that you're in. You understand? So there are two people who are going to be speaking to you, and this is called a victim impact. So they're going to tell you probably how this has impacted their life. I want you to listen and internalize what they're saying. Okay. All right. Watson and Simmons. Let me see if we can get them. Would you call them, please? Because they're in the, here they are.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, you can show your video if you want to show your video, but you don't have to show your video. Are you able to see Mr. Camarillo?
Yes.
All right. If you want to show your video, you can.
What comes next is often the most powerful and the most difficult part of any sentencing hearing: victim impact statements. This is where the courtroom stops talking about statutes, charges, and paperwork and starts talking about real human loss. These statements don't change the sentence, but they change the room. As you listen, ask yourself this: can the justice system ever truly measure the weight of a life lost?
And 12 grandchildren at the time. When I received a call of her death, I was 34 weeks pregnant, and my sister was about 26 weeks pregnant. She never had an opportunity to meet those babies. She would never get to see her grandchildren graduate from college. She would never be able to attend my siblings' weddings when those times happen in the future. This has been extremely traumatizing on our family to not only lose her so suddenly, but in the manner she was killed. Some of the family had to witness video footage of the accident. Law enforcement was going so fast on the night she was killed that my mom was hit at a fast rate where her body flew into the air before it landed on the ground. At the funeral, her face had to be reconstructed for us to have an open casket. She had to be fully clothed with gloves. Ears cannot be shown. The woman who raised me, that I knew to be my mom, I didn't see that woman physically. She was unrecognizable. While I understand you were not driving a vehicle that collided with my mom, you have a role. The actions you played and the things that you did throughout the day contributed greatly to her death. It is difficult to accept that one day you will walk free and have the opportunity to make new memories with your loved ones. Meanwhile, we are left to pick up the pieces of a family torn apart. There is no sentence that can restore what we've lost. We live with the consequences of your actions every single day. The leniency of your plea deal does not reflect the magnitude of the harm you caused. My hope is that you will use the time not just to serve a sentence, but to reflect and grow into someone who values life and considers the pain and reckless choices that you can put on others. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.